Hey guys, welcome to another Thursday edition of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick. I had a whole different video actually planned out for today and have it uploaded. I'll probably push that out next week, but I saw something kind of pop up on social media over the last, probably a couple of weeks. And that's this discussion about what role color variants are playing in these in vinyl delays that we're seeing now. So I can kind of touch on what I think about all this. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you click on that link down below. Go check out the Vinyl Den Facebook group. Just a cool place to continue the music conversation. Doesn't necessarily have to be about vinyl records. We talk about anything music related in there. So make sure you check that out. There's also a couple other links down there. There's one for the Vinyl Den merch page. We got t-shirts and sweatshirts on there. And there's also a link for the Vinyl Den Patreon page. If you want to support the show, it's always greatly appreciated. Make sure you give the episode the old thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So like I said in the beginning, I've seen this narrative kind of come up several times over the last couple of months at least, that the colored records, that colored variants are playing a major factor in the vinyl delays that we're seeing. And I just don't think that's really the case. First off, all vinyl records are colored records. I will say that I do have, if you get the UHQR albums, these are actually on Clarity Vinyl, which is untouched vinyl. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here and why I say that all records are colored, because even black is a color. This is what natural records look like. It's a almost see-through kind of whitish kind of color. If it doesn't look like this, if you got black is a colored vinyl. So, the idea that colored variants are really messing up the production time of albums, making these delays, really isn't the case, because a color, if you've got, here I'll pull one up here. If you've got a standard black, this is my standard black version of Double Fantasy by John Lennon. You got this, and you've got this is my Walmart color exclusive of Diary of a Madman, which is on like a bluish kind of cloudy kind of color. Can't really see it really well through my sleeve here. It's the same thing. It's just a colored puck is all it is. So creating the process of creating a colored album really is no different from anything else. It's just a colored puck that they put on. There's tons of videos on YouTube that you can watch the process of creating an album. It's really not creating any kind of delays, because it's just a colored puck is all it is. I will say that there is one thing, or one type of variant that does have an extra step to it, and that is splatter vinyl. And I think I posted a video on the Vinyl Den Facebook group a while back of the process of creating splattered vinyl. There is an extra step to it where they have to take the puck and roll it through extra colored beads to kind of get that splatter color on there. So that does create a little bit extra time, but you're talking, seconds per album. So yeah, if you're doing a big long run, thousands of copies of that, it could add a little bit of time to it, but it's not going to create any really meaningful additional time for the production of a bunch of different albums. The other thing I hear out there is that the demand for these colored variants has caused bands and labels to create additional pressings of an album, that they maybe would not have pressed additional copies of to meet this demand. And that's not really the case either. If you take a band that's going to reissue an album and say they're going to release 2,500 units of it, they're not going to create additional units of that album. It's not like their original plan was to create 2,500 black units and then say, let's do an extra 500 copies or an extra 1,000 copies of a color variant on top of the 2,500 that they're already planning on doing. No, what they typically do is, at least to my understanding, what they'll do is, I know Less Than Jake just did this with the Losing Streak reissue that they did, was take 2,500 copies and then make multiple variants in that 2,500. So if you're a band that's going to release an album or reissue an album, and you could do 2,500 copies of black, which isn't generally considered a limited edition, but if you do 1,000 copies in black, and then three different color variants in 500 each, you have now created 2,500 total copies of your album, but you've made 3 other limited edition versions of that album that you can generally charge a little bit more for. And I think overall that's kind of good business sense. I mean, I know it's not great for vinyl collectors out there, but I think bands are starting to look at the way the vinyl revival has worked since 2008 and try to kind of maximize their value. I think there's really 2 main issues that are driving these delays that we're seeing. A, there's a global pandemic that kind of has taken over, everything over the course of the last year and a half. That's really created, at least for big portions of 2020, created some huge supply chain issues when there were lockdowns in multiple different countries, and a lot of our albums come from overseas. So, A, that's a big issue that creates this backlog that we've seen now, and B, just the volume of albums that are in demand now. Yes, the vinyl revival really started in 2008, but really over the course of the last, really since 2017 or 2018, we've seen this huge boom in vinyl demand, vinyl records demand, vinyl record sales. You look year by year sales, they've really exploded over the last several years. So with that huge demand, we're seeing an even bigger strain on pressing plants. The other issue is there was only 2 companies, two plants that made the lacquers for vinyl albums. And one of them caught fire, 2 years ago, I think it was now. And to my knowledge, still hasn't been replaced or repaired. So that's another issue. That's another factor that's really playing an issue. And like I said, none of this really has to do anything to do with colored vinyl production. But of those several issues that I just brought up, I think it's mainly the strain that this boom in vinyl has caused on pressing plants, because we were seeing these large delays long before the pandemic in 2020. I know that there was an album I pre-ordered back in 2019 that even at that time was a 5 or 6 month delay to get pressed. I want to say there was a month and a half delay even after that. I think it was like 5.5 months, I think is what the time frame they gave when I ordered the album. It ended up being close to like 7 months by the time I got the album. So even then, pre-pandemic, we were seeing these big issues in production delays. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's something that we're going to continue to see over the next year or two, I believe. And I think it's really going to take the major labels to finally really open up the pocketbooks and create their own pressing plants that we're going to see, finally some kind of relief in this process. I know Sony back in 2017 started their own pressing plants or reopened their pressing plants in Japan, and they've been, pressing primarily their own albums there ever since. But when we see other major labels finally step up and do the same thing, I think is when we're going to see, like I said, a relief of these long delays. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. As much as I hate these delays, like I said, it's something that I think we're going to see for a while. And it's really time to, I guess, stop blaming color variants for it, because it really has nothing to do with it. Adele really has nothing to do with it. Taylor Swift really has nothing to do with it. It just, it's one of those things that we're just going to continue to have to deal with until more pressing plants open up, or we kind of, retool some of the pressing plants we have to be able to meet higher demand and use higher capacity. I know I've talked about it before on the Facebook group, and I think I've talked about it on the channel here too before, that there are other pressing plants across this world that can be used, but they just don't get utilized, primarily because they don't have the capacity to do big runs, thousands of albums. But you got Third Man Records here in Detroit that I've been to a couple of times and gone and checked out their record producing process. And it's really kind of cool if you ever get a chance to do it, because it is really, it's a neat process to go see firsthand. But, like I said, it's just something we're going to have to deal with for a while. And unfortunately, it's kind of it's because of us buying all these records, really. But I don't know, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about all this. it's just it's something that doesn't have a very clear cut answer, and it's something that unfortunately is just going to take time to resolve. But if you enjoy the episode, make sure you give me the old thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and come back and check out the show on Sunday. Well, that's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.